Welcome back to another video on the channel. We're into the quarterfinal of the US Open. I will be bringing out a preview and predictions video for the women's quarterfinals as well, so do check that out on the channel. During this event and the French Open, I'm also working with Grand Slam Tennis Online, doing live text commentaries, and tonight I will be covering the Coric against Alexander Zverev match. So if you do want to check that out and follow along, I will leave a link in the description to the website and also to my Twitter account, which I'll post on there when the stream is up and going. But yeah, just sort of looking back on the fourth round and the major story, obviously, Novak Djokovic disqualified against Pablo Carreño Busta. I don't want to focus on the subject too much. I like to just focus on the tennis and look at what's to come. I do think Djokovic was rightly disqualified. I know it wasn't intentional, but he did hit the ball with force towards where a line judge was obviously going to be standing. To hit her in the throat, could have caused serious damage, and I do think the umpires were left with no decision but to disqualify him. It does mean we are going to have a new Grand Slam champion, which is fantastic to see, fantastic for the future of the sport, and it presents a brilliant opportunity for all the young players. So I'm not going to focus on that Djokovic subject too long. He will be back. He's made a mistake. I think it's just a time where people just let him reflect on himself. He knows he's made a mistake, he's apologised, accepted he done wrong. I just think everyone should move on, and tennis moves on, it's part of sport. Unfortunately, these things happen sometimes. So yeah, enough for that really. Moving on to looking at the men's quarterfinals. First off, we have Coric against Alexander Zverev. I've been a fan of Coric's for a good few years. I watched him for the first time 3 or 4 years ago, and I was impressed by his level of maturity and the fact that he didn't really have any massive weaknesses or vulnerabilities in his game. He's a solid all-round player. He's had a couple of poor years down to injuries and lack of form, but this was his breakthrough tournament. I said at the start of last week that I think Coric is a player that is a confidence player, and if he can get a big run at a Grand Slam, maybe it's a big win over a top 10 player, then his career could go from strength to strength, and I believe it's done that. He got that massive win over Tsitsipas from 5-1 down the fourth, 6 match points he saved. I think that gave him renewed confidence, and he claimed a straight sets win in the last 16, which was a fantastic win for him to set this match up against Zverev. And this side of the draw is blue wide open now. I think we had Raonic on this side of the draw, we had Tsitsipas, we had Djokovic, and now we're going to have one of Coric, Zverev, Carreño Busta or Shapovalov in the final of the US Open. So it's a massive opportunity for all the players. All 4 of them will fancy themselves to reach the final. So we should be in for some cracking matches. Coric is, as I say, a player that's very good all round. He doesn't have any major weakness, but also I'm not sure he's developed a match-winning shot yet that can sort of be the difference between him winning and losing matches like this. He is a player I think will improve over time with more experience and sort of develop a match-winning shot like Djokovic has with his double-handed backhand. But he's a player that, if I think the match is on, Zverev's rattled in a way. Zverev's looked very consistent in this tournament. I think he struggled in the open set against Manarino to deal with the variety in the slice and the pace off the ball. But once the opening set was out the way, I thought Zverev was very good. His high first set percentage, backed it up with the big forehand. He hit a lot of very solid forehands from the second set onwards. He's got a double-handed backhand, a good move around the court for his size, solid around the net with the volleys. I do feel this match is sort of on Zverev's record. If he does turn up and serve this high 60s, 70s percentage, first serve percentage, has a going day on the forehand, I do think he'll win this match. I just think he's got heavier ground strokes and baller. But Coric is a player that won't give up easy. He's a real fighter. We saw that against Tsitsipas. He's got confidence, and if Zverev has a bad day on the forehand or the second serve, which is very possible, we've seen it in the past, then Coric will be there to take full advantage. But I do think Zverev will edge this one. Moving on to the second quarter final between Carreño Busta and Denis Shapovalov, and I think Carreño Busta was harshly treated the other day in the fact that obviously all the talk was going to be about Djokovic, the world number 1, unbeaten, disqualified, massive story and all that. But Carreño Busta was so good in that opening set. He more than matched Djokovic for the opening 40-45 minutes. He passed the defensive Djokovic on a number of times, clear, precise ground strokes. He's very hard to read, I believe. He's very fit, great move around the court, incredibly quick, got a great defence. And it 3 set points down, I believe, on serve. You know, he could have quite easily just given that set up. We don't often see Djokovic pegged back from that sort of position. But he made a super forehand on the run to save 1 break point. I can't remember how the other ones went. I've watched so much tennis this week. But he did end up going from 5-4, love 40 down, to leading 6-5, and you know, serving for the opening set. And you know, he was in a fantastic position to win that opening set. And I don't think many people spoke about his performance. You know, he more than matched the world number one and was arguably the better player for me in that opening set. So yeah, he's got great form coming into this match, but he is up against an outstanding young talent in Denis Shapovalov. I spoke the other day about how he's so unorthodox and he's got so much confidence in himself. He's got that fantastic quick lefty serve before following it up with the single-handed backhand. He's just so good to watch. I love watching lefty servers, you know, whip the ball away from the opponent, keeping them on the run, and you know, to watch a single-handed backhand like Denis Shapovalov's assist to pass to Dominic Thiem, I think it's so good to watch. The technique is fantastic, and Shapovalov's is so entertaining. You know, like his compatriot auger-aliassime, I think both have got huge futures in the game. This is a match that's incredibly hard to call. You know, Carreño Busta is considerably older than Shapovalov, but other than the US Open run that he had a few years back when he reached the semi-final, him himself hasn't got, you know, much experience in matches like this. They'll fancy themselves to reach semi-finals of a Grand Slam, and I think both will feel the nerves. Both are fantastic, consistent players, and it's very hard to call. I think this one will go 4 or 5 sets, but I am going to slightly favour Shapovalov. I just think he's sort of a man on a mission. He looks unstoppable this week so far. You know, he's just blew everybody away that he's faced. His performance against Goffin after the opening set disappointment of losing the tiebreak was just so impressive. We know how clean of a ball striker and good of a mover Goffin is, and Shapovalov just blew him off the court with his power and speed. And you know, Carreño Busta, I think, is a player that's, you know, playing very well at the top of his game, and as I say, he can take huge confidence from the way he performed that opening set against Djokovic. So this match really could go either way, but I'm just going to slightly go with Shapovalov with no confidence. Moving on to probably match of the round, I believe, in Dominic Thiem and Alex de Minaur. You know, this could be an acid test. You know, both physically fit and how quick and these two are on the court. You know, I watched Alex de Minaur against Vasek Pospisil the other day, and his fighting mentality in that open set determination was quite incredible. You know, 6-2 down, I believe, in the open set tiebreak, 4 set points. He could have easily just give it up, but he won the tiebreak 8-6, winning 6 consecutive points. The way he ran the balls down, the speed that he's got is quite astonishing if you watch him. Some of the balls that he retrieves are just quite ridiculous, but he forces errors and he frustrates opponents. It's exactly what he done to Pospisil. I did say after the opening set, I'm not sure how Pospisil recovers from that. You know, if you can't win a set from having 4 consecutive set points, then you're going to find it difficult. And de Minaur just returned better, worked a way of neutralising that Pospisil forehand more and more as the match progressed. And he's a player, I believe, with a huge future. You know, he's got a big serving forehand, the big one too. And although he's a player that's, you know, small in stature, he's got huge surprising power from the back of the court. You can't really play a drop shot against de Minaur because you can guarantee he's going to run it down, put the pressure back on yourself. But he's got every shot in the book, and his speed is so underrated, I believe, especially in a hard court. The way he moves and the balls that he retrieves, and he's a fantastic counter puncher. Turns attack from defence into attack with that speed and counter punching ability. But he's up against just an incredible player who's transformed his hardcourt game in Dominic Thiem, and I thought we'd seen the best of Dominic Thiem at this strain this year, but my word, he was so impressive last night against auger-aliassime. I covered the match live. I expected the match to go 4 or 5 sets with the way aliassime had performed. You know, Thiem is a player with a lot of experience now. He's the most experienced player in this left in the draw by quite a long way. And the opening set was very close. You know, Thiem had He was serving for the set at one point before throwing in a poor game. You know, it was very uncharacteristic. Like, I think he made a couple of errors and a double fault, which is unlike him, and didn't have to go to a tie break before he played. Just a brilliant tie break. You know, he was always experienced. He just went for it. You know, he's very aggressive in the tie breaks and made some massive monster forehands. A couple of aces in there before taking it 7-4, and Aliassime never really recovered from then. Thiem has sort of went from strength to strength, but the ball striking of Thiem from the back of the court on forehand and backhand was just, nobody could live with it. I don't believe anybody in the world was going to stop Dominic Thiem last night. The way he struck the ball, just from corner to corner. Although Aliassime didn't perform well, you know, he made too many enforced errors in forehand and backhand. He didn't serve a high enough first serve percentage. Thiem was just quite incredible, and you can't really take anything away from his performance. One thing that also fascinated me last night was how deep Thiem returns the serve. I mean, we've seen it before in the past, but he was almost in line with the line judges last night. Thiem, he was that deep, you know, a good 10-12 foot behind the baseline, but it just neutralised Aliassime's biggest weapon in the first serve. He returned it deep in the court every time, got into rallies, and as soon as the points got into rallies, you know, Thiem was immediately become huge favourite. The way he was striking it, and you can't fault the performance of Dominic Thiem last night. He looked a man on a mission, a man that's here to win his maiden Grand Slam title, and you know, I would like to see Thiem win a Grand Slam. I think he deserves it. I think he's such an incredible player. You know, he's reached 3 Grand Slam finals, 2 against Rafa the French and 1 against Djokovic the Australian, so he's arguably had the 3 hardest tasks in tennis in terms of winning the final, and this is a huge opportunity for him now without the big 3 there. I do think Thiem will win this one. I just think the way he strikes the ball from the back of the court, I'm not sure anybody left in the draw can live with him. If he has a going day, and as long as he hits the ball like he has been this tournament, and doesn't have a complete off day, then I do see him winning this one. You know, Alex de Minaur does have fantastic defence, fantastic speed, but I just don't think anybody in the world can live with the clean striking of Dominic Thiem at the moment. You know, de Minaur is capable of putting up a fight in this one and winning. You know, maybe it's a set, and trouble in the team service if he has a bad serving day. But if the ball's getting the rallies and we get long points, you know, Thiem's a huge favourite for me. I do think he gets through this one to reach a semi-final. And last off, looking at Andrei Rublev against Daniil Medvedev, and Rublev was somehow underdog against Berrettini last night, which I was amazed by. I thought Rublev was a huge favourite going into that one, just with his variety. He's been in form in 2020. His consistency on forehand and backhand, his ability to read the play, change up his first serve. I'm you know, a fan of Berrettini. I do think he can progress in the future, but I think if you can somehow find a way of neutralising that forehand, his first serve for Berrettini isn't consistent enough, and you know, he won the opening set, Berrettini, but you know, Rublev responded. He started to get more returns in court. He played on the Berrettini backhand, which isn't good enough to beat a player of Rublev's quality, and he just exposed Berrettini, put his stamp on the match. His movement is incredible, his backhand's on the run, his forehand's down the line, his net play, everything. He was a class above Berrettini in the second, third and fourth set, winning them 3 sets quite comfortably. Did manage to catch that match after the conclusion of Aliassime against Thiem, which finished in double quick time. And moving on to his opponent, Daniil Medvedev, who again, like Dominic Thiem, will probably see himself as one of the favourites now, remaining in the draw. He did reach the finalist event last year before losing a throw to Rafa, so he will be looking to avenge that defeat. He's been very solid this week. You know, he threw in a bad performance at Cincinnati Open, but that was the Cincinnati Open. This is the US Open, the biggest title on the hard courts, and yeah, Medvedev looked very good against Tier 4 last night. It went in a similar way to what the Thiem against Aliassime match did, in this fact that it was a very close first set. You know, Tier 4 played well in the opening set. He more than matched Medvedev in large parts, but Medvedev served it out to win 6-4. From that point on, Medvedev grew stronger and stronger. He started to serve better, started to move into the court more, be more aggressive off the first ball, power and forehands and backhands the corner, we know Tiafoe likes a serve and volley. Medvedev soon started to read that, produced some beautiful passing shots which sort of left Tiafoe with no weapons. He had nothing left to beat Medvedev with. Every time he came at the net, Medvedev basically passed him. From the back of the court, Medvedev just had huge ground strokes, and he backs it up with that massive serve. So Tiafoe was left with no answers really to an assault by Medvedev, and I think he won them last 2 sets 6-1, 6-love. So plenty left in the tank, I think, for Medvedev. And this is a very close match. Obviously, 2 Russians. I'm sure it'll be massive match for the Russians. The quarterfinal of the US Open. Both their players going at it. Guarantee 1 semi-finalist. I think Rublev is a very underrated player. I was very impressed by him last night. I think he's awesome to watch. But I think Medvedev does have to be favourite. Rublev's never reached a semi-final of a Grand Slam yet. Medvedev's got an experience of reaching the final. He's hungry for title. He's hungry for a Grand Slam title after losing that thriller final against Rafa last year. And I do think Medvedev does probably possess the slightly more powerful ground strokes, but I do think Medvedev's more susceptible to unforced errors. The way I watched Rublev last night, he made very, very few unforced errors from the second set onwards. He's very consistent ground strokes, very rarely misses a forehand backhand. And if Medvedev does have a bad day, the error count could creep up very quickly, and Rublev can take huge advantage of that. And I do think Rublev can cause Medvedev problems, and certainly win a set or 2. But I do think Medvedev will probably come out in what will be a thriller match. We have 4 fantastic quarterfinals. We haven't got the big 3 in a quarterfinal of a Grand Slam, which is probably one of the first times to ever have happened in the time I've been watching tennis over the past 10 or 12 years, which is exciting, refreshing, and it's going to be brilliant to see a new player lift a Grand Slam title. But yeah, all the matches are live at Amazon Prime. I will be covering 2 of those matches on Grand Slam Tennis Online, live text commentary. So I'll leave me links to the website and my Twitter down below. Let me know who you think is going to win the quarterfinals, and please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Lastly, there is going to be a video of the women's quarterfinals also on the channel, so do check it out if you're interested in those. But please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.